Hey folks, welcome back to Good Enough Customs, or what is Matt getting into today? Last week I did not have a lot of time. This week I've got more time, still not a lot of it, but I figure we're gonna get quite a bit done today. As long as my phone doesn't ring, since I am actually on call. Anyhow, so last week we were working on cylinder heads, getting these guys broke down. There's the passenger side that y'all saw me do. Here's the driver's side that I tore down off camera. Went through, did the exact same process as I did with the passenger side. Pulled the valves, pulled, springs, the stuff. One thing I did discover is we had, on the driver's side, we had a bad valve stem seal. So you can see the split right there. I don't know if anybody's tried ordering those anytime recently. Nobody has them. They just, nobody has those in stock. I was like, well, this is garbage, man. I tried all the local hardware or, parts houses. Nobody had them. Went to Summit, didn't have them in stock. Or maybe they did and they were just too expensive. Went to Jigs. And if I remember correctly, they didn't have them in stock. And then finally, last resort, went to Rock Auto. Now, I'm not hating on Rock Auto. I like Rock Auto. I get aggravated because they're shipping, for something like this. Yeah, $12 to ship that. Really? Really? Anyways. But they had them in stock. I got them. Yeah, after the shipping, it was around about the same price as what everybody else was asking. So, I'm not too angry. I'm just frustrated. Let's see. What else happened? Monday. I got a phone call. Like I said, I expected my motor would be done. And here she is, wrapped in plastic. And got her all kind of set up. I haven't actually pulled it out of the plastic yet, so, mainly because I'm nowhere near ready to start monkeying with this guy yet. So, but it has been hot tanked, it has been cleaned, so now what's left there is to get it finished cleaning it. And once I'm finished cleaning this guy, kind of do a partial assembly, like putting the heads on and stuff like that, so I can mark out lines and all that, getting it ready for paint. So that actually brings me up to a question / problem, not really a problem. Yeah. Okay. I know I said I was going to take the Pontiac on Power Tour. I know I spent a bunch of money on pieces and parts for the Pontiac. I started working numbers, and yes, I could still do the Pontiac. No, I can't go on the trips. So I'm kind of at a really rough little crossroads here. I really want to get the Pontiac on the road. Yes, I got new brakes, new suspension for it. Mostly, I don't have all of it, but as far as suspension, yes, I got all new. Brakes, I've got fronts. I don't have anything for the rear. I don't know what the rear end looks like. I don't know what the gas tank's like. I don't know what the wiring's like in that car. There's a lot of unknowns. There's also the fact that I'll have to put exhaust on it. Yes, these headers should work just fine on that car. I actually have a couple 3-inch pieces of pipe back there. Mufflers aren't expensive. The other problem that I have there is the car needs some wheels and tires. I'm a little low on the, 5 on 4 3/4. Steve's wheels are dual bolt. I am not taking the wheels off of Steve. They belong with this truck. I've also got these old wheels that came off of Dad's van. I believe they're dual bolt. I know they're dual bolt pattern, but I haven't verified if it's the 5 on 5.5 or 5 on 4 3/4 as the second bolt pattern. I think it's 5 on 4 3/4 second bolt pattern, but yeah, I don't know. Don't know about those, but either way, I need all 4 tires for that car. So, all these things that I'm not trying to make excuses, folks. Trying to be realistic here, because Matt's pockets only go so deep, and I'm just about, actually I am touching the little fuzz that usually resides at the bottom of the pocket. So like I said, I could go ahead and finish putting the Pontiac together, or I could just shut that down, shelve the rest of the parts that I've got for it. I mean, I haven't done any work to the Pontiac yet, but I can shelve all my parts for that. Not the motor. The motor's not going to stay, the motor's not shelved. But I can shelve all the parts for the Pontiac, kind of push that one off till maybe fall, wintertime, something like that, to where I can really dedicate some time and throw some funds at it. And then take this motor that we're putting together that's going to be nasty. Well, I shouldn't say nasty. It's going to have, flipping peanut port heads in it. But it'll be nasty sounding. And it'll still be a big block, so it's still going to have monster torque. But that go in this fella right here. So, what do y'all think? Should I take the big block, throw it in Steve? I know what I want to do. And I'm like, oh, hell yes. That's kind of been my goal all along, was to put a big block in Steve. I toyed with LS swapping this thing at one point in time. I don't want to LS swap this truck. I want it to be dirt simple and just sound nasty. And it's dirt simple. Now it just needs that nasty sound to it, and that'll fix that. So that kind of leads me back to the motor. So I've got an idea on paint. I don't want to go with just standard, Chevy orange. Like, this is a 1980 Chevy. Yeah, it should be that ugly baby blue color that they had on their motors. Ugh, I don't want to do that. Right now it's got the 350 and it's just painted black. But I had something really special in mind if I was to put this motor in it. So looking for opinions. Because if I do put this motor in it, it's not going to go in as a black motor or anything like that. I got something very cool in mind for that. And I will share that with y'all later, but not right now, because I'm still chewing on it. Yeah, so just looking for some opinions. What do y'all guys think? Big block this guy, throw the big block in Steve, take Steve on power tour again, maybe a little redemption power tour. Mainly because Steve doesn't need a lot. I think I may have broke a leaf spring. These old farm roads, man. They're a lot of fun to drive. But the rears are acting a little weird now, so I think I might have popped a leaf spring. It handles a little squirrely now. But all I got to do is put one tire on it, maybe two, because the back, it was a one-wheel pill, so this tire right here is in bad shape. But that tire over there is still passable, so I can legit just put one tire on it and probably be all right. It needs an alignment, and I can actually reuse the transmission and the drive shaft. I don't really want to put a turbo 350 behind a big block, but to keep the budget build going, I can for now. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So keeping it budget. Steve's going to be the best option for that, for going on power tour. And I don't mind taking Steve back on power tour. It was a little aggravating driving a regular cab pickup truck on power tour, but it was still a lot of fun. So y'all guys let me know. I'm still going to do what I want to do, but I'm just interested to see what y'all guys want to know, what y'all guys think. All right, so let's get back to what we're actually doing today. Today we're working on heads. So part of what we're going to do today is we're going to do a little port and polish on these guys. So whenever you're talking port and polish, we're talking about porting the ports, intake runner ports, basically gasket matching this. So I'll get the gasket pulled out, we'll set her out, and we'll line it up, and we'll open up this intake port to what that gasket, shows, or at least attempt to. Mainly because we're going from, I've got gaskets and everything for a oval port, not for a peanut port. So it's going to be a little oversized. We'll just try to make it as well as we can. So doing that, so then we're going to clean up, kind of port this outside, gasket match that. We're going to do similar on the exhaust ports as soon as the as soon as the header gaskets get here. They were missing from the box. So, so I called them yesterday. I was just like, hey, I'm missing parts. And they're sending them out today. So they should be here today. And then we're going to work on combustion chamber. So now I am by no means an expert, but I did watch a few videos on YouTube. Yes, we all do it. So we're going to go through and we're going to polish up the combustion chamber. And we're going to clean up like these ridges. Let me grab a screwdriver here so I can point a little bit better. So I know on the peanut port heads, they have a really bad tendency to detonate because they'll get hot spots inside the head. Well, where you get their hot spots from are like this guy right here. This little fella right there. That's going to give you a hot spot because that is a sharp edge, and a sharp edge meeting at a point. So that guy probably gets to glowing red at some point, I would imagine. And all it's doing is before the combustion stroke finishes, it's probably igniting the fuel, and that's what's causing some pinging. And from what I was reading on these peanut port heads, that's an extremely common issue. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through here and we're going to clean all these edges up, all these little sharp edges. We're going to just kind of blend them down a little bit, make them kind of rolled. And then we're going to go through and we're going to polish out the cast material, or the cast look, you know, the as cast grittiness. So we're going to polish that up and smooth this guy up quite a bit. Then we're going to move down to, as soon as I get my flashlight set, then we're going to move down in here to the actual port. See if I can find a spot where I'm not blinding you folks. There we go. So then we're going to move down in here. So we don't want to get, we don't want to go grinding and cutting on the valve seats. In my last video, you saw me go at these bottom side of these heads with a cut brush. Don't worry, Crokenberg hollered at me. He's like, you know, you just took that cut brush over the valve seats, right? And I was like, yeah, dude, I'm not worried about it. I wasn't putting a lot of pressure on it. You know, I know that's a no-no. I wasn't putting a ton of pressure on it. Actually, I was putting no pressure on it. Just trying to knock the loose stuff loose. And I already knew that we're going to have to relap the valves on these. Because they're, you know, everything's pretty terrible. So, but we're not going to hit this with the grinder or the deburr tool. So we're going to stay away from our valve seats. But we are going to get like this edge right here. You can kind of see, you know, like that. We're going to shave that down. We're going to shave like right back here. See if you can kind of catch, yeah, you can see that line right there. So we're going to clean that up. And then we're just generally going to go through here and we're just going to clean up all this casting material and just try to smooth this out and make it just a little bit slipperier. Basically, we want to make it smooth so we get a little bit more velocity with the air moving, or less resistance to the air moving. Now, watching a bunch of videos on this, because like I said, I am not a professional on this. There are professionals out there. If you want, if I was to recommend a channel to watch, this guy, I'll put a link up here for this guy's channel. I don't remember the name of the channel, but it's up there. That dude, I think he like ports heads for a living. Solid information. Really enjoyed some of his videos. I went through a bunch of them, you know, trying to get points and tips and, you know, on porting heads. So, yeah, so check his channel out. Some pretty good info there. But yeah, so I'm going to go through here, and again, it's peanut port heads. I'm not expecting a lot. I'm not expecting like crazy horsepower gains out of this. I'm just trying to give it the best it can get. There was one fellow I was watching, and it may have been the same guy. I watched a lot of videos. He was saying, yeah, you might get 30 or 40% more flow doing this, you know, at home by yourself, not knowing 100% about what you're doing. If you're not doing this for a living, he goes, you take it to a shop, you might get like 90% better flow. He's like, but you take it to a shop, it's gonna cost you money. You do it at home, it's just free. It's your labor and your time. That's it. and you know, you can get more horse out of it. He's like, you know, maybe it gives you 15 or 20 extra horse. He goes, but those are free horsepower. I like that. So since it's a peanut poured head and we know it's garbage, we're going to try to squeeze every little bit out of it as we can. So yeah, so that's the plan. We're going to get in here. We're going to clean up these edges, get all these sharp edges knocked down. We're going to get down inside the runner, and we're going to try to clean that up. We're not too worried about the exhaust side of the house. I mean, yeah, we are. But all we're going to do here is, because it's making this really hard. I mean, it literally goes, yoop, and it has to go, you know, well, it does a 180. We're just going to smooth this transition out a little bit. Pretty much right here. We're going to smooth that guy out. And then we'll probably knock this edge. Where's my screwdriver at again? So then we'll probably take this edge and just kind of lay him back a little bit so that as the air is moving past, it's not catching that edge. And that'll just make it move out of the exhaust a little bit easier. Maybe open this side up, maybe clean it up over here. You know, so we're just going to clean up the ports and try to, ew. We're just going to clean up the ports and try and make them move a little bit more air. I'm not looking for like crazy numbers here. It's just, every little thing counts right now. So we're not going to spend a ton of time on this. You know, these jobs are not clean. This, from what I've read, will take you roughly an hour per cylinder. So I've got 8 to do. It's about an 8-hour day. Once that's all said and done, I've got to get all my valves cleaned up. You know, some of these are in really poor shape. Where is he? Yeah, that guy, really bad. I got a few like that. Got to go through all that. Oh, update on the pistons. So, yeah. She's still stuck. Yeah. I'm over this. I ordered new pistons. I was like, you know what? I got a chance to bump the compression up a little bit by going to a domed piston. I didn't go too crazy on the domed piston side because I don't know what's coming down the road for this motor. So I was just, they're really slight. I don't remember the numbers on them. And they're the Summit brand. So, you know, budget build. So yeah, so I ordered new pistons. Unfortunately, I had to order another set of rings because they use a different size ring than what the factory ones use. So I still got all this crap laid out. Gotta let these guys drain off here in just a minute, and then I can take these out, set them to the side because I gotta, they're just pistons, so I gotta reuse the rods. And then I just gotta get all these rods. I think these are press in. Yeah, I'm pretty sure those are press in. So we got to get those out. Not stuff that's going to happen today, more than likely, but stuff that's going to be coming up soon. I've got to go back through all of my pieces and parts. They've been sitting out here soaking in the diesel, trying to break up stuff. So I got to go through all this. There's all my rockers, all my guide plates, all my studs. Got to get all this. There's a lot going on in the shop. And it's not a great time for me to be super busy at work, which I am. So I haven't had a ton of time to get out here. So we're going to do what we can do today, and maybe even do a little bit more tomorrow. So I guess I'm going to quit talking, and I'm going to get to it on this guy. So yeah, so we'll catch up with y'all here in just a few minutes. All right, folks. So here we go. All right. So what I did was scraped all the gasket material off the intake side of the head. Then I shot it with some brake clean, wiped it down real good so that way it's clean-ish. So then you want to take and get your gasket, set it on there, and hold it in place with a couple of bolts. So I grabbed a couple of intake bolts just to hold it in place. And then I centered it up and I put a little piece of tape in here because it's going to want to sit down on top of the bolt. So you can kind of see that now it's not sitting directly on top of the bolt. Which centered it up on the rest of the ports. So you can see the difference in size between the oval port and the peanut port. So there's not a ton of difference here. So there's a couple different ways to do this. One is to use some machine die. I actually ordered some. It won't be here till Monday. Ordered it last week. Again, just can't help it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little pick and kind of use it as a scribe and kind of just outline around the edges here. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I'm going to guess probably not very well. Just to be on the safe side, I'm also going to go back behind this with a Sharpie. So that's pretty much it. We'll get all these guys, get the intake ports lined up, get them scribed. Like I said, I'm going to go back and probably hit it with a Sharpie just so I have a visual of where I need to go. And then we'll start taking some material off out here to bring this mouth open so it can catch a little more air. So I'm going to finish scribing this, hitting it with a Sharpie, and then I'll be right back. All right, folks, so my little scribing kind of worked. It's really, really hard to see, but it's just on the outside edge of where the Sharpie is. So the Sharpie is my main focus here. So yeah, you can kind of see we're going to mainly open up this side of it. We're going to open up the sides just a little bit. The top and the bottom is where we're really going to focus on trying to just open that mouth up. Now, we don't have to take the material all the way back that far. So we're pretty much just worried about opening up the mouth and then just smoothing the passage out a little bit further in. So I've got an assortment of deburr tools, whatever you want to call them. Pick these guys up on Amazon. Got the little dome-shaped one, little ball one. Let's see, and then I've got two different Christmas tree style ones. One a little bit bigger than the other. There's a little bitty one. And these are both dual cut bits, I guess you could say, because I got two sets of blades in them. Right now, since I'm working here on the outside, I'm just going to use this smaller one. This is the one I've been using for a long time. You can actually, I don't know if you can see the teeth on it. They're a little chipped up and a little beat up. But this guy I've been using for a long, long time. But she still gets the job done. And it's just a little bit easier to get in here, like this, with this shorter one, as opposed to being way back here to try to do it. I got those longer ones because all I have is short ones. And once I go to getting inside the runner to try to clean it up a little bit in there, this guy isn't going to quite work, because once I get in there, I'm not going to be able to see what I'm doing because of the back end of the tool. So basically what I'm going to do out here is just try to clean, open this hole up a little bit. I'm probably just going to work on the bottom side, and then I'll flip the head over and do the top side, because it's just easier to keep it, nice and even down here, as opposed to trying to do it, up like this. So I'll probably flip the head over when I get to going on that. But doing this on a cast iron head, these little crosscut bits are the best way to go with these. Boy, that bit is chewed to pieces, but it should still work. But these little guys are best for cast iron heads. A single cut or single groove is better for aluminum heads. And aluminum heads you got to watch out for, because from what I was listening to and reading and researching on, the aluminum heads will end up, you get it going too hot, and the aluminum actually starts melting and sitting down in here, and it basically just smooths this guy up so it isn't biting as well as it should. So one of the other things we're going to do is put a little bit of WD-40 on this, just to keep the blades kind of lubed up a little bit. Definitely want to wear your safety glasses, so that way you're not getting little flecks of metal in the eyeball, because that hurts. And you can never really find the thing to get it back out. You just kind of have to wait till nature takes its course and it comes on out. So anyways, so I'm gonna get started on this. I'm just gonna do the bottom sides of all of these. Going ahead and knocking this part out. I may, since I've got it flipped up this way, go ahead and start working basically from this cast line, because there's a cast line here where you can see where it was two pieces put into one. I'll probably start working from the cast line down and go ahead and start smoothing, on in a little ways. And I'll have to reposition my light so I can actually see down in there and see what exactly I'm doing. But yeah, as far as I can tell, this is all we need to do. So here we go. All right, so here's where we are right now. So got the outside edge done. Got her, rolled in just a little bit. I'm probably going to take a little bit more material off right in here, mainly because I can. If you come back over here and look, I mean, you can see that's how much material we've taken off on the ramp end. But there's not a whole lot of difference between here and here, other than, this is smooth. So I'll probably take a little bit more material off right in through here, before we start going down into the, the runner. So I'm gonna pull a little bit more material out right here. And then once I get that done, then I'll go ahead and move over here and start working this guy, and then, this guy and this guy. Get the bottom sides done, so that way my entry point on this side of the head is good. Then we'll take and move the light, and we'll put the light down into the down underneath, so it's shining up into the combustion chamber, so I can see what's going on inside here. And then we'll change the bit out and go to a longer bit and start cleaning up the bottom side of these runners, and get that smoothed out and cleaned up a little bit. Take down any, like right here. Of course, you can't see anything, but right there is like a big old nasty booger, I guess you could call it. And then we can pull a little bit off right here. Now, when you're inside the runner, you really have to make sure that you're not getting into, your head bolt pass-throughs. You don't want to get into your valve seat. You don't want to get into, water passages and all that other stuff. So this part is where I'm really unclear, is down inside there. So I'm probably not going to go like buck wild in there. I'm probably just going to, smooth it out, clean it up a little bit, knock a little material off. Again, these are peanut port. They're not, excellent heads. So I'm not looking for top tier, performance out of this thing. Just trying to make it a little bit better than it is. So we're going to continue on and get these bottom halves kind of knocked out, and then I'll check back in with y'all once that part's done. And another quick tip for you is my Dremel here, or die grinder, whatever you want to call it, it discharges the unused air out the back, so it is freezing my hand. So I'm just wrapping the back with a rag. And also the little flipper here, that makes your thumb and your hand really tired having to try to hold it in a constant position. So I just took a zip tie, looped it around there, and I can run it up to where I want it, and get the speed out of this guy that I want. And I can adjust that by just kind of sliding him back and forth, since this guy works on a on an angle here. So so that saves my hand a little bit, and then putting the rag down here keeps it from freezing my hand up. So all right, back to it. All right, so tops and bottoms on 3 of them are done. Bottom on the 4th one's done. I'm fixing to do the top. Figured I'd stop for a moment, just kind of go over a couple things. Yeah, lighting, important thing. I've been using my little battery powered, drop light things. They kept dying. And they take forever to charge. They don't take as long to discharge, unfortunately. So I ended up stringing up one of my little drop lights, little 4-foot LED thing that I got, and just kind of ran it up to that strap over there and down. It works. I can see a lot better. But yeah, you really do need to be able to see doing this, just so you can kind of keep up with where you're at. So let's see what we got so far. So we got these two are done-ish. I'm definitely getting a little bit more comfortable with the with the die grinder. Not that I'm super uncomfortable with it. It's just doing something like this, I'm not as comfortable with it, and learning how it's taking the material off so I don't take too much or dig too deep, those type of things. So I'm probably gonna flip it over and go back over the bottom side of the intake runners, just because this side I'm finding a little bit easier, and I can definitely tell there's a difference. I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but it's a little broader down here, or on the top side, because this is the top. So it's a little wider up here than it is up here. So I can take a little bit more material off up here. Down here, I'm pretty well good. This guy, again, I got to take a little more material off the top, or the bottom. Yeah, you know, this side. This side's looking pretty good. Fixing to get started on this guy. But you can kind of see how much material we're taking out. It's a fair amount. And I got my little cheapy caliper thingy, just out of curiosity. I did this earlier, but let's see if I can do this with just one hand. So if we go edge to edge, we're at 1.80. Now that's not to the very tip, because I'm not counting that. I'm just counting where it's starting to roll. So we're at 1.80, basically from around that little point, you know, somewhere in this neighborhood. 1.80 is what our height is. Then we come over here to this old head, and we'll just go straight in on this guy, and we're at 157. So we're probably pulling, I don't know, 1/4 inch. I don't know, I can't math that fast. I done forgot what the first number was, 180 something. So 157 to 180 something. So yeah, we're probably a solid 1/4 inch in distance on the height. The width is not so much, because there's not as much material to take off on the sides. So the sides are still going to be, you know, fairly narrow, roughly the same size, maybe shaving off a total of an 1/8 inch on, you know, total 1/8 inch, 1/16 off each side. So this thing turns into more of an oval port, because we're narrow on the sides and broader on the tops. So I'm gonna keep going on this. A couple tips though that I've kind of come up with. I got tired of trying to regulate, so I just got my little pressure regulator. I stole it off my paint gun, dialed it to about 50 psi, and at full bore it's about the right speed, so I'm not having to sit there and modulate it with my finger and my thumb, or with my zip tie, because once the air pressure drops in the tank, it slows down. So I was constantly having to fight that. The other thing is, whenever we're doing this, is when you're getting in here and you're starting to grind and take material off, you don't want to just sit. You know, you constantly want to be moving. Now, one of the things I saw on one of the other YouTube channels is he was talking about whenever people do like this, making contact all the way back and forth. Basically, if you come up here and then you go back down, you're basically at this top point, and at the top point over here, you're hitting 2 times right there, where you're only getting 1 time down at the bottom, because you're stopping on it and then coming back across it, stopping on it, come back across it. So you'll end up divoting it out on the outside edges of your arc. So their suggestion was to take and just basically go like this to make your sides, you know, so you're just kind of coming in, you know, you're lifting on the backside. So one direction at a time. So that way you're not, you know, basically dimpling here, dimpling here, dimpling here. Yeah. Also, this doesn't take a ton of pressure. You don't want to put a ton of pressure on it. It's not as important whenever you're first making your cuts like this. You know, I've got a big chunk of metal to pull out here. So yeah, I'm probably gonna put a little pressure, let that thing dig, and just kind of, you know, make the job go a little quicker. So I'm gonna let it dig out on these bigger pieces. But whenever you get into trying to shape it and, you know, trying to dress it down a little bit, you're just, I mean, basically just barely the weight of the machine sitting there letting it take the, you know, do the work. Let the bit do the work instead of putting pressure on it. It'll also probably make your bit last a little bit longer. Also, this bit, as I'm going, is, you know, it's getting worse. So I ordered a couple for same-day delivery from Amazon. So hopefully they show up today. Otherwise, I'm going to be kind of stuck because this guy's about toast. Also, be sure and occasionally hit it with some WD-40. Doesn't take a lot, just a little spritz, and it'll, you know, it'll mix it in as you're going. That just lets it cut a little cleaner. I can tell whenever it's starting to get a little too dry, a little too hot, because it'll start kind of skipping a little bit. You can feel it, and you can actually see it in the material. Let's see. I don't know if we can get in that tight and see it on here or not, but there's a couple little spots right in here. Yeah, you probably can't see that, but you can see it in the material. It'll have little ripples everywhere instead of being fairly smooth. It's not going to be smooth. That comes later when we put the little sandpaper disc on it. Sandpaper rollers. Anyways, that's that for now. I'm going to continue on and get this other port opened up, flip it over and clean up the other side, and then I'll be back. Alrighty, folks. So I'm done with the outside edge of the intake ports. Yeah. So here's what we got. She opened up quite a bit. Still got work to do way on down in here. But yeah, there you go. You can kind of see what's going on down in there. So you can see how rough and just bleh, all that is in there. Now we got that part done. Now it'll be getting into the inside of the runner and seeing what we can't do in there just to clean it up. I'm not worried about making that oversized. Again, it's a peanut port head. It's not a performance head. We're just trying to make it breathe a little bit better and you know, squeeze just a few extra little ponies out of it. So we're going to get in here. I think on the inside here, I don't know if we're going to use a deburr tool so much down inside here because it's just rough. We'll probably end up using the little sanding rolls that I got. I'll show you all those here in just a little bit. This cylinder though, we may put the deburr in there because it's got some pretty heavy pitting. I think this is the right cylinder. Yeah, this would have been number 8. So number 7. So number 7 and number 5 are our two really bad ones. So I may go inside those with the deburr, just try to knock the big stuff down, and then kind of clean it up from this side, and then we'll flip the head over and work from the combustion chamber back. So I'll check back in with y'all once I'm a little further in, and I can show y'all some stuff. All right, folks, so moving on to doing the runners. Like I said, number 7 and 5, the back two, those guys are the really bad ones. They had a lot of surface rust and scale and crap like that in them. So getting at them with the deburr or the burr tools. Let's see, which one was I using? I think it was this fella. Yep. So I figure since I got to get, you know, farther in there, I'll use some of my longer bits and you know, these guys. So so I was using this fella. It's like it's a big ass Q-tip pretty much. I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, yeah, we'll get in there and just kind of root around and, you know, clean these things up. It's the wrong tool. So butchery happened. So so what I did was, oh yeah, I took my light, stuck it up underneath there so I could see down in all the ports at the same time. So what I did was got that bit on the die grinder and got in there and started working it, and it started hopping and catching. Let's see, we'll get a different light in here so maybe we can see a little bit better. Yeah, you can kind of see, particularly, we'll use this guy as a pointer. You can kind of see really right in this area. I'll drag this across it, you can kind of hear it. So you can see there's a lot of divots and it's just super uneven, rough as hell. And that's mainly because I'm thinking that I could get this guy fairly flat. In reality, he was sitting more just on the very edge. So it was digging a bunch of just, you know, nasty grooves in this guy and caused a lot of butchery to happen in here. So came back in with this fella and a little cone shape so it can actually lay on the wall and, you know, it can kind of follow the contour, and I can get, instead of having just a tiny little contact patch, I have a much larger contact patch. So as it's in there, I can kind of work it up and down and clean that up. So little tip for you, learning about the right tools, going for the right spots. So now I gotta go fix up my butchery on the inside of this runner and the other one. It's mostly, the other one's not as bad, But yeah, this guy's pretty rough. So I'm gonna finish cleaning that guy up, and we'll be about ready to flip this guy over and do the other end. So catch up with you here in just a moment. So if you look down in there, she's shiny. Just kind of knocking the top off on, you know, talking about the top layer of crap off in these runners. So yeah, you can kind of see what we're going for. Not really taking a bunch of material off on farther down in there. This one, you know, don't mind the waves that are right there, because, you know, that's whoopsie. So I went through and just kind of cleaned them up. You can kind of see right down through here, you can kind of see right there where the shadow kind of changes right in that area right there. That's the cast line, so that's where the two halves are casted together. So that was just a really nasty little jagged edge that went all through there, and I just kind of went and smoothed that out all the way down. Did that on both sides. Just kind of cleaned it up on both sides on all the runners. So that's all kind of cleaned up and looking nice and pretty. And just went through and just kind of basically just kind of scuffed the bottom, just to knock all the big heavy, you know, crap loose, because we're not really going for opening up the runner all the way. Just wanting to clean it up a little bit, and then I'll get in there with the sandpaper rolls, again on the Dremel tool there, to go through and actually clean this up and do a final, you know, final polish. So so that'll do it for this side of the head, which is the bottom side, I do believe. Yeah, bottom side of the head. So I'm gonna flip it over and do the top side from the runner headed in, and then once I'm done with that, then we'll turn it around and do the combustion chamber side, pushing back into the runner a little bit. So I guess I'll turn this back on when I, you know, get going. Alrighty, so here we go. We got her smoothed out pretty good. Don't mind the ridges, you know, it's trying to be a ruffle. Then we got this guy, so they're fairly smooth, you know. Again, not looking for perfection here. If you're looking for perfection, you're on the wrong channel. So all right, so now we're gonna flip this guy over, and we're gonna move my light, and we're going to work inside of here, and then work back to the runners from inside the combustion chamber. So that's not something I can do one-handed. So I'll be right back when I flip this guy over. We're looking in here in the combustion chamber. So still working on the intake side. Basically just got to get in here, clean this stuff off. Wow, there's like a big old burr right there. Pretty much just going to go in here, clean this and smooth this out. Get down in this little valley here, clean that up. Get down over in this little valley here and clean this up. Then we're going to come onto the back side here, and we're just going to knock this edge down. Of course, y'all can't see where if I ain't got the camera in there, but I'm going to come in here and just knock this back edge of this seat, I guess you would call it. Knock the back edge of that down, just to take that little corner off. And then after all that's said and done, we'll move to the next one and just kind of finish up that. Then after everything's all good to go for inside the intake runners, we'll come over here and we'll start working on this. Actually, we may skip this for now and just work on the exhaust. So since our exhaust is literally just going and making basically a 180 coming out, here's our exhaust ports right there. So So you can kind of see there's a ridge right here. So we can knock that ridge down pretty good, and then that'll just let that air move a little bit quicker across. So so we'll do that, and then we'll move to the actual combustion chamber and cleaning this up. This we probably won't hit so much with the burr, but this will probably be more with the sandpaper rolls, and just trying to take these corners and these edges off a little bit, so that way it kind of eliminates some hot spots. So, all right, I'm gonna get to it, and I'll catch up here in a bit. Intake side, or the intake runners, are all done. You know, it's not the quickest process, especially whenever you're learning. So, you know, I've been at this pretty much all day. So, so we got intake runners pretty good. I still got to go back and polish them with the sandpaper. But for the most part, we've got, you know, everything's good and cleaned up there inside the intake runner. So next things to do are get in here, do the exhaust ports. You know, basically just like I said, we're just cleaning up. I don't know if you can even see it, but there's a little lip right here. So we're going to clean that little lip up, take away that little bit of resistance, so to speak, and do that on all these ports. And then probably just kind of smooth this guy out just a little bit. Probably won't have a whole lot of, you know, effect on much of anything there, but we'll clean him up just a little bit, just smooth the edges up a little bit on it. But my primary concern is this little guy right in here, and you can kind of, let's see. So you can kind of feel, you can see it just kind of dips back in. So we're just going to kind of make that nice and smooth, where it goes over that little ridge right there. And then I can get into the combustion chambers here. Whoop. Then I can get into the combustion chambers and actually get to, you know, polishing on those guys. And then, like I said, with these guys on the combustion chambers, the big key is sharp edges, points, things along those lines. Those are going to be things that are going to hold heat and create your detonation points. So like that little point there, going to want to, you know, knock him down. Especially that little guy right there, going to knock him down, and then just kind of smooth all the edges out, and then just smooth the chamber itself up really, really nice. So, but it is, it's dinner time. So I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. I'm going to come back out tomorrow and do some more on this guy. Hopefully the stuff I've got left to do tomorrow won't take all day, but we'll see where we're at tomorrow. But yeah, till then. All right, went and grabbed some dinner. Was going to call tonight, but said, you know what? I'm already filthy. I've got all this crap out. Might as well knock out what I can tonight, and then once I get tired, I'll just stop. So so back out here, started working on the exhaust runners, I guess is what you would call them, exhaust ports. So the couple little concerns there is we've got this guy, and that is where the exhaust valve comes in. So that's your exhaust valve guide. That's a really sharp edge on there, and from everything I've seen on YouTube and read, you don't want sharp edges. So we're just going to take and clean the edges of that guy up, much like this guy. So it's nice and smooth all the way around on this, just kind of cleaning those edges up. Not worried about taking a bunch of material off. These exhaust ports are very small anyways. Once I get the gaskets in for the headers, I'll probably do the same thing I did on the intake and just kind of gasket match and kind of open these guys up a little bit and try to make that work a little bit better. Just kind of clean it up a little bit. Maybe that exhaust moves out a little bit quicker than it did. And then, of course, taking these edges down is taking out a little bit of, you know, the air is just going to hit it and bounce. So this way the air can just kind of flow over it. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to do that. And then as soon as I get done using the burr bits, then we'll get out the little sandpaper rolls and we'll work inside the combustion chamber and then work on the intake runners to try to clean them guys up and make them really, really nice and smooth. So I'll be back in a bit. All right, folks, so almost done. It's a long, drawn out process. I'll tell you what. So went through, got the sanding done on these ports. And I know it doesn't show up great on camera, but you can kind of see she's shiny, and it's a hell of a lot smoother and a hell of a lot more open than it was beforehand. So looking pretty good. Only thing left to do now is come in here and do the combustion chamber with the sanding discs, or the sanding rolls, and then also got to get down into this side of the intake runner and get those guys sanded down a little bit, get them smooth on out and polished up. Moving right along on it. It's definitely a long and drawn out process. So anyhow, it's about 11 o'clock. Been working at this all day long, and I've got one head almost done. So so I'll be back out tomorrow to finish up the sanding on the inside of the combustion chamber and that side of the intake runners, and then I guess I'll get started on this other head. Probably just work on it through the week and just get that done through the week. I'm not going to record that one because, you know, you literally are watching that right now. It's the exact same process. Once I get done sanding and getting the inside the runners prepped, cleaned, ready to go, inside the combustion chamber done, then I'm going to come out here and I'm going to get all this flashing, all these sharp edges. I'll come back and hit that with the grinder and the flap disc and just clean that up to make it nice and smooth. So yeah, it's a messy job. So anyhow, I'm gonna head inside for the night, grab a shower, a much needed shower, and I'll be back out here first thing in the morning to try to knock this head out. So we'll see you then. All right, folks, next day. Let's see, what do we got left to do? Not a ton. Got to get little sanding rolls, these little guys. Got to get that in here, clean up this combustion chamber a little bit on all these, and then finish polishing on the intakes, and then just cleaning up the flashing on the outside of the head. Knock down those, you know, the flashing left over from the casting. So so all right, I guess I'm just gonna get to it. All right, so problem. Since this is a cone shape, a tapered one, it isn't doing what I'm wanting it to do in here. I may have to go up to one of my barrels. Only problem is my barrels are 100 grit and 80 grit. Let's see if this works any better using the regular barrel style. So I was able to make the 100 grit drum work-ish. I can't get down inside the last little bit of the intake runner. It's just too tight in there. I'm gonna booger something up, so it's just gonna ride like it is. So I went through, got all my combustion chambers cleaned up pretty well. They're not great. They could probably do a little bit more, but I got most of the pitting out of it. Got everything kind of cleaned up and smoothed out as best I could, using what I got. The intake runners, yeah, they're still a little rough, you know, a little rough cut down in here. Basically on this end, they're really, really rough. They're not really, really rough. They're smoother than they were, but they have little grooves in them and stuff from using the burr attachment. So I did yesterday evening, before I called it a night, went through and hit them with the paper, the sandpaper stuff, and so I mean, we're super slick and smooth all the way in here. So, you know, I'm just going to tell myself that, you know, a little bit of turbulence as it's entering the combustion chamber is not a bad thing, mainly because, you know, it's still got to mix the gas and the air together and all that stuff. So little turbulence ain't gonna hurt that at all. So, so I'm gonna call that good on the porting side and polishing side of this. Not gonna worry about doing anything else on the runners or really anything other than once I get my header gaskets, then I'll do a little gasket match on the exhaust valves or the exhaust flange. Sure. I'll do a little bit of port match on that. I'm not going to go crazy with it. It's got teeny tiny little exhaust valves, so it's going to have a lot of velocity, but it's not going to move a ton of volume. And there's not much I can do to fix that other than getting the head reworked and getting bigger valves put in, and I ain't spending that kind of money on some peanut ports. So that pretty much just brings us up to cleaning the flashing off the cast, and I don't have a second hand to pick that up, but you can kind of see what I'm talking about, this crap. Kind of like I did on the engine block, just go through, clean all this crap up, make it as nice and smooth and slick as I can. So, so I'm gonna do that and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so head's pretty much done. Went through, got everything kind of blown out, cleaned it up pretty good, so we can kind of see what all's going on here. You know, y'all seen the video if you made it this far, so you know kind of what's up. Yeah, definitely, it's a long process. The guys that I was watching were saying about an hour per cylinder. First time doing it, it's like 2 hours per cylinder. It took a long time, but I'm pretty happy with the results. The only thing left to do is once the header gaskets get here is to port match my exhaust ports, and these guys should be done. Then it'll be take them out and get them cleaned up really good. Got to get all that metal and crap out of this, out of the head, not all the little nooks and crannies, and get all that stuff done. And then I'll probably go back over this thing with a wire wheel on the outside surfaces, not on the inside, but on the outside surfaces, clean it up a little bit because I do plan on painting and painting the block, painting the heads, So I'll do that. That'll be another video. So anyhow, I guess that's going to wrap it up. So if y'all guys are, curious about the process for porting, polishing heads, that's kind of the process. Yeah, it's a rough process, especially coming from a newbie, not knowing exactly what I'm doing, YouTube certified. So, but if you're interested in doing this type of stuff and really want to get into it, go out to the junkyard. Like I said with the buffing video, go out to the junkyard, find you a head. A head's a head. They all do the same thing. You're going to have your intake runners. You're going to have your exhaust runners. You're going to have your combustion chamber. You've got all the same components, basically, for any and all heads. Yeah, just pick one up from a junkyard. A little 4-banger, something like that. It's the same thing. And get it. Go through it, port it out, see what you can't do, see how the tools react, just kind of fill it out. I'm pretty comfortable with all my tools, so, I wasn't too terribly worried about it. I was more nervous about really tearing something up and costing myself more money. But I think we avoided that mostly, hopefully. So we'll find out when we throw this thing all together and put it on the block and fire it up for the first time. So anyways, well, that's going to wrap it up, folks. I appreciate y'all guys watching. If you like the video, be sure and hit the like button down there. If you made it this far and you don't mind seeing, a fat guy struggle trying to learn new things and show y'all folks that struggle, this K5 right here, that a lot of struggling going on with that guy figuring out the floors. But if you don't mind seeing all that stuff and you like it, hit the subscribe button. It's right down there in the bottom corner, and subscribe to the channel. Helps grow the channel. I do appreciate each and every one of y'all watching, and I hope y'all guys have a good week coming up. And just remember, it ain't gotta be perfect, just good enough. And we'll talk at y'all next week. Have a good one.